Hello dear friends, welcome back. We are here to discuss about the relations of the urinary bladder. So this was our previous lecture in which we discussed about the relations of the base of urinary bladder in case of females, right, and in case of males. So I hope you have watched this lecture. Now here we are going to discuss about the relations of the urinary bladder of the superior surface of the urinary bladder. So let me write here superior surface. Superior surface, right. What are the structures which are in relation to the superior surface of the urinary bladder in case of males and in case of females? So we will take the help of this diagram, right. Look carefully, friends. In case of males, this is the superior surface, right. We will relate previous diagrams to this lecture. Superior surface. So superior surface of the urinary bladder in case of males is in relation to what? Look here. This is peritoneum, and you know, in the peritoneum what structures are there? Our intestines are there. So these are the coils of the intestine. So these are the coils of the intestine. So in case of males, the problem is solved. Okay, let me write here in case of males. What structures are there? Look, from this diagram we will see. First of all, peritoneum is there, right? So let me write here, there is the peritoneum. Okay, then what is there? Then the coils of the ileum, the last part of the small intestine. So the coils of ileum is there. Very easily. This is the relations of the superior surface of urinary bladder in case of males. Now in case of females, what is there? Very easily. Look carefully. Let's bring the same diagram, this diagram here. So you know there is, what is there? There is peritoneum, right? So in case of females, what structure is above? The peritoneum is there, okay? Let me write here peritoneum, right. Then the next thing which is in relation to the superior surface little bit, look here, this is the uterus, right. Uterus is there, and then there is a pouch which is called vesico-uterine pouch, right. I will draw a diagram right now. Vesico-uterine pouch is there. So these three important structures are in relation to the superior surface of the urinary bladder in case of females, right. So look carefully. In case of male, peritoneum and coils, and then in case of females, peritoneum, uterus, and vesico-uterine pouch is there. So these are the relations of the urinary bladder or superior surface, right. Now let's come to the neck of the urinary bladder. Neck, the relations of the neck of urinary bladder. Look carefully. Let me draw there the diagram of the urinary bladder. This is the superior surface, right. Then like this is the neck of the urinary bladder, right. So let's see, first of all, in case of males, the structures. In case of males, what are there? First, there are the proximal urethral sphincters are there. Look carefully. Here is a sphincter which does not allow the urine to leak out. So this is called the proximal, right, urethral sphincter. Proximal urethral sphincter. Right, this is a ring of smooth muscles around the neck of the urinary bladder. So you understood it, right. Then in case of females, what is there? In case of females, there is the pelvic fascia, right. There is pelvic fascia, right. So this is the relations of the urinary bladder, the neck of the urinary bladder in case of males and in case of female. So there is the pelvic fascia. Right. Now let's see the relations of the inferiolateral surfaces of the urinary bladder in case of males and in case of females. Inferiolateral surfaces. Look, I will show you now. For example, this is your urinary bladder, this one. This is urinary bladder, this superior surface, apex, right, posteriorly base, and these two surfaces are called the inferiolateral surfaces. Inferiolateral surfaces. So what are the structures which are in relation to the inferiolateral surfaces? Look, I will draw a diagram here. Right, now we are looking at the urinary bladder from front. So it will look like this. So this is the neck of the bladder from here. This is the base. Right, here is the neck. Neck is lower, but this is apex. Right, and these are two surfaces, inferiolateral surfaces. So we mean what are the structures here and here. From inferiolateral surfaces we mean this. So let's see what are the structures there. Friends, let me draw here another diagram. Look carefully. Here are your pelvic bones, right, like this. Like this, right. So you know your urinary bladder is located here. This is your urinary bladder. So on the inferiolateral surfaces of both sexes, I mean male and female, what is there? This is ilium bone, right? This is ilium, this is ischium, right? And what is this bone? This is pubis bone, right? So on both sides of the inferiolateral surface of the urinary bladder there is the pubic bone. So we will write here there is pubis, and pubis is common for both male and female. Then there is the puboprostatic ligament in case of males, right? Here is your urethra in case of males, and here is your prostate. So there is a ligament which is called the puboprostatic ligament. So let me write it here, puboprostatic ligament, right? It is in case of males. Let me write in front of it for males, right? This is the sign for female. And in case of females there is no prostate in female, but which ligament is there? There is pubovesical ligament. Pubovesical ligament, right? This is for females, right? This is for female, and other structures are same for all. So it means there is retropubic fat, retropubic fat is there, right, on both sides. I mean on both sides. So there is a fatty layer which is called the retropubic fat, and then there is two muscles are there, levator ani and obturator internus. Levator ani muscle and obturator internus. These two muscles are in relation of the inferiolateral surfaces of the urinary bladder in case of male and in case of female, but the difference on the inferiolateral surfaces I told you is just of one ligament, that is pubovesical ligament for female and puboprostatic ligament for males, right? So these are the relations of the inferiolateral surfaces of the urinary bladder. Now one thing importantly, what are the relations of the apex? So the relations of the apex of the bladder is same for both sexes. Again, let me write a diagram, make a diagram here. Right, so here is your urinary bladder. For example, this is the urinary bladder, right, like this, for example. Now this is the apex. Now the apex of the urinary bladder is in relation to a ligament which connects this urinary bladder to umbilicus, right? This is a ligament which connects the urinary bladder to umbilicus, and this ligament which connects the urinary bladder to umbilicus, it is present in both in male and female. So this is a ligament, right? And this ligament is called, which ligament? This is called the median umbilical ligament. So there is median umbilical ligament for male and for female, both cases, right? So this is in relation to the apex of the urinary bladder, right? So friends, take a picture of it for your notes. And now this is the last lecture about the relations of the urinary bladder. So previous lecture was about the base, this lecture superior surfaces, inferior surfaces, and the apex of the urinary bladder. So these lectures included the relations of the urinary bladder. Next lecture will be about the blood supply and venous drainage and lymphatic drainage. So see you guys there. Till then, Allah Hafiz.